Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling the CompTIA A+ certification.
Yeah.
You've sent us some objectives from the 1101 exam, and honestly, it's a lot to digest.
Right.
So we're here to break it down, figure out what really matters, and why this cert is considered so valuable.
It's like a roadmap to basic IT knowledge.
Okay.
We'll unpack what each exam section covers, why it matters, and give you some real-world examples so you can see the stuff in action.
Perfect. So to start, what is the CompTIA A+ exactly? And why is it such a big deal?
Think of it as the industry standard, the fundamentals proof.
Okay.
It shows employers you can handle basic IT support tasks.
Right.
And it's proof you've got skills equivalent to about a year of on-the-job experience.
Got it.
A lot of folks in IT start with this cert.
Okay, so not just some online course you did for fun. This carries weight.
Right.
And I see it's split into two exams.
Yes.
220, 1101, and 1102.
That's right.
We're focusing on the 1101 today, right?
That's right. And within that, there are 5 key areas they test.
Okay.
Mobile devices, networking, hardware, virtualization, and cloud computing.
Yeah.
And then the big one, troubleshooting.
Got it.
The document you sent dives into each of these.
5 areas.
Yeah.
That's pretty broad.
It is.
So someone getting this cert isn't just fixing printers.
Yeah.
They need to know about the cloud and all that too.
Exactly.
Oh.
IT work these days touches everything.
Yeah.
Let's start with mobile devices. It's 15% of the exam.
Okay.
You'd think it's simple, but it goes deep.
Yeah.
It's not just knowing how to use a phone, it's understanding the tech inside.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure.
What kind of deep stuff are we talking?
Think LCD screens.
Okay.
You've got APS, TN, VA panels. Knowing the difference isn't just about letters, it's about what each one's best at.
Right.
Like IPS is great for color accuracy, so designers might want that, but a gamer might prefer a TN panel for its speed.
So as an IT person, you need to know this so you can recommend the right device, not just fix a cracked screen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then there's GSM versus CDMA for cellular. Might sound old school, but impacts roaming.
Okay.
Imagine someone travels internationally.
Yeah.
Their phone's not working.
Right.
You need to know WHY based on these standards.
Suddenly those letters I've seen on my phone bill have meaning. Anything else super important in mobile devices?
MDM and MAM.
Okay.
Big for businesses. Mobile device and application management.
Okay.
It's all the software and rules that let a company control what employees can do on their work phones.
Right.
Security, app installs, even wiping data if the phone's lost.
Makes sense with everyone working from anywhere these days.
Yeah.
You don't want company secrets just out there.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's mobile devices.
Yes.
What's next?
Networking,
Where-
which is a hefty 20% of the exam.
Right.
This is where we get into the language of the internet.
Okay.
TCP/IP, ports, protocol, all that fun stuff.
Okay, brace yourselves, folks.
Right.
Networking is where my eyes usually glaze over.
All right.
Let's try to keep it interesting.
I'll do my best. Think of it this way.
Okay.
TCP is like sending a package with tracking.
Okay.
It guarantees delivery, but it takes a bit longer. UDP is like sending a letter faster, but no guarantee it'll arrive.
Okay.
Different internet tasks need different methods.
So, like, if I'm banking online,
Yeah.
that's TCP because
Right.
security matters.
Right.
But streaming music,
Uh-huh.
maybe UDP's wind if a few bits get lost along the way.
Exactly. Then there's ports and protocols.
Right.
Think of ports like doors on a computer,
Okay.
each numbered. And protocols are the languages spoken through those doors.
Right.
Web traffic uses port 80. Secure traffic uses 400/43.
Okay.
Knowing common ones is key for troubleshooting.
Okay, I've seen those numbers before,
Right.
but never knew what they meant.
Yeah.
So if something's not working, knowing which door it should be using helps you fix it.
You got it.
Got it?
And then there's wireless networking, which is a whole world unto itself.
Oh, boy.
You've got your 2.4 gigahertz versus 5 gigahertz bands,
Yeah.
each with pros and cons in terms of speed, range, and interference.
I always struggle with this when setting up my Wi-Fi at home. Sometimes faster isn't better if I can't even get a signal in the next room.
Exactly. An
Oh.
A+ certified tech needs to understand this to help users optimize their networks.
Right.
Then there's the evolution of Wi-Fi standards.
Okay.
From 802.11a all the way to Wi-Fi 6, 802.1avx.
Yeah, I've seen all those.
Each brought new features and speeds. Knowing the difference is key for troubleshooting and recommending upgrades.
So you're telling me there's a rhyme and reason to those confusing Wi-Fi names my router spits out? It's not just random letters and numbers?
Not at all. It's like learning the language of your home network.
Okay, I'm feeling a bit more confident about networking already.
Good.
What's next on our A+ adventure?
Let's dive into the hardware domain, where we get our hands dirty with the physical components of a computer system.
All right.
This one makes up a whopping 25% of the exam.
Now this is where I thrive. Give me all the cables, connectors, and components you've got.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get technical.
Excellent. We'll start with cables and connectors.
Okay.
You'll need to know the difference between Cat5e, Cat6, and fiber optic cables.
Got it.
Cat5e is the standard for basic networking.
Yeah.
Cat6 offers higher bandwidth for gigabit speeds.
Yeah.
And fiber optic is the king for speed and distance.
Right.
But comes with a higher price tag.
So, like, if someone's just browsing the web,
Yeah.
Cat5e is probably fine.
Right.
But if they're doing heavy video editing, they might want Cat6 or even fiber for faster data transfer.
Precisely.
Go ahead.
Then there are connectors.
Right.
RJ45 is the one everyone knows for Ethernet.
Right.
But you'll also need to be familiar with USB-C, Lightning for Apple devices, and F-type for coaxial cables. Each serves a specific purpose, and knowing their characteristics helps you troubleshoot connectivity issues.
Okay, it's all making sense.
Good.
What about RAM? I know it's important for performance,
Yeah.
but all those DDR numbers make my head spin.
RAM can be confusing.
Yeah.
Focus on understanding DDR3, DDR4, and DDR5.
Okay.
Each generation is faster, but they're not backward compatible.
Right.
So you need to know which RAM works with which motherboard.
Hmm.
The exam also covers single versus multi-channel memory,
Okay.
which affects how fast data is accessed.
So wait, if I install my RAM sticks in a particular order, it can actually make my computer faster.
It can.
That's wild.
And then we move on to storage devices,
Okay.
where SSDs are the stars these days.
Right.
They're much faster than traditional hard drives.
Yeah.
But there are different types.
Right.
You'll need to know SATA SSDs, which are common and affordable,
Right.
and NVMe SSDs, which use a faster interface and are ideal for demanding tasks.
Okay, so if someone complains about their computer being slow, upgrading to an SSD could be a game changer.
It could.
But as an A+ tech, you need to know which type of SSD their system can even handle, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we can't forget about RAID configurations.
Right.
RAID combines multiple drives into a single unit,
Yeah.
offering either improved performance or redundancy, or both.
Okay.
It's a common solution for businesses that need to protect their data or boost storage speed.
RAID. That sounds more advanced.
It can.
Is that something an entry-level A+ tech would actually work with?
It depends on the role, but understanding RAID basics is important because it's a common solution in many IT environments.
Right.
The exam covers the different RAID levels and their use cases.
Okay, so even if I'm not setting up RAID arrays right away,
Yeah,
knowing what they are and why they're used is part of the bigger picture.
exactly. Now, let's get to the heart of the machine. Motherboards and CPUs.
Okay.
You'll need to know about different motherboard form factors like ATX and ITX,
Yeah.
which determine the size and layout of the system.
Right.
ATX is your standard desktop size. ITX is for smaller, more compact builds.
So, like, if someone wants a powerful gaming PC,
Yeah.
they'd probably need an ATX motherboard to fit all the components.
Probably.
But for a basic office computer,
Huh?
an ITX board might be sufficient and more space efficient.
Exactly.
Okay.
You'll also need to understand the BIOS UEFI,
Right.
which is the firmware that controls the hardware during the boot process.
Yeah.
It's where you configure boot settings, enable security features, and troubleshoot startup problems.
The BIOS.
Yeah.
That's the thing I panic about whenever I have to change boot orders.
It can be intimidating,
Yeah.
but understanding the BIOS is essential for any A+ technician.
Okay.
Then there's the CPU,
Right.
which is the brain of the computer.
Right.
You'll need to know about different CPU architectures, like by 64 by 86, which is common in desktops and laptops,
Yeah.
and ARM, which is widely used in mobile devices.
Okay, so even CPUs have different families.
They do.
I'm guessing knowing this is important for compatibility.
Yes,
Like making sure the right CPU works with the right motherboard.
absolutely.
Okay.
And don't forget about cooling. CPUs generate heat, and keeping them cool is crucial for stability.
Right.
The exam covers different cooling solutions like fans, heat sinks, and liquid cooling.
This is all making me want to build my own PC.
It's a great way to get hands-on experience with hardware.
This hardware section is seriously comprehensive.
It is.
It's amazing how much goes into the physical side of computers.
A lot.
Where do we go from here?
Let's step into the world of virtualization and cloud computing,
Okay.
which is a growing area of IT and makes up about 11% of the exam.
All right.
This is where things get really interesting.
Virtualization and cloud computing.
Yeah.
These are definitely buzzwords I hear everywhere.
They are.
What exactly do they mean in the context of the A+ certification?
Well, let's start with the cloud. The exam covers different cloud models: private, public, and hybrid.
Okay.
A private cloud is like having your own personal cloud,
Right.
while a public cloud is a shared resource offered by providers like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud.
Okay.
Hybrid combines the best of both worlds.
So it's like choosing between having your own server room versus renting space in a giant data center.
You could say that.
And hybrid lets you do a bit of both depending on your needs.
You got it.
Okay.
Then there are the as-a-service models.
Right.
SaaS, ASaaS, and PaaS.
Yeah.
SaaS is software you access online,
Okay.
like Google Workspace.
Uh-huh.
IaaS lets you rent virtual servers and storage,
Okay.
while PaaS provides a platform for developing and deploying applications.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it.
Good.
It's all about different ways of accessing and managing computing resources,
Yeah,
either locally or in the cloud.
right.
And these models are becoming increasingly important in business, right?
Absolutely. And an A-plus technician needs to understand the basics of these models to support users and systems in a cloud-connected world.
This is really fascinating stuff. It's like the future of IT is unfolding right before our eyes.
It is.
What else is there to know about virtualization?
The exam also covers client-side virtualization, which is running virtual machines on a regular computer.
Okay.
This is used for things like testing software in a safe environment, running older applications, or even boosting security by isolating potentially risky programs.
So virtual machines are like little computers within my computer,
Yeah.
each with its own operating system and applications.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
It is. And it's a valuable tool for IT professionals, especially for testing and troubleshooting.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Good.
We've covered mobile devices, networking, hardware, and now virtualization and the cloud.
Yes.
What's the last piece of the A+ puzzle?
The final and largest domain is hardware and network troubleshooting,
Okay.
which makes up a whopping 29% of the exam. Right. This is where we put all our knowledge to the test and learn how to solve real-world IT problems.
Troubleshooting. Now that's where the rubber meets the road. I'm ready to put on my detective hat and get to work.
Excellent. We'll dive into the 6-step troubleshooting methodology outlined in the exam objectives.
Okay.
And explore common problems you might encounter with various hardware and network components.
6 steps. That sounds pretty thorough.
It is.
I'm guessing it's not just about randomly trying things until something works.
Not at all. It's a systematic approach
Right.
that ensures you identify the root cause of the problem
Right.
and implement the most effective solution.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Good.
Let's unpack those 6 steps and see what kind of troubleshooting challenges await us in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into those 6 troubleshooting steps.
Okay.
First up is identifying the problem.
Right.
Sounds obvious.
Yeah.
But it's about gathering info, like what the user's experiencing, any recent changes they made, and backing up data before you start messing with things.
So, like, if someone says their computer's slow,
Uh-huh.
you don't just assume it's a virus.
Right.
You ask them what they've installed lately.
Yeah.
If they've noticed any weird noises, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're playing detective.
Got it.
Then you establish a theory of probable cause.
Okay.
This is where your A+ knowledge comes in.
Right.
Based on the symptoms, what's the most likely culprit?
Yeah.
Is it a software issue, a hardware problem, or something else entirely?
So you're not just guessing, you're using your knowledge of how things work
Right.
to narrow it down.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, what's next? Step 3 is testing that theory.
Okay.
Run diagnostics, check system logs, isolate components.
Right.
You might even try booting into safe mode to see if the problem persists.
Okay.
The goal is to pinpoint the exact cause.
So it's not about fixing it yet. It's about being sure you know what to fix.
Exactly.
What if your initial theory is wrong?
Then you go back to step 2.
Okay.
Refine your theory based on what you've learned and test again.
Got it.
Troubleshooting is an iterative process.
Right.
And sometimes you might hit a wall and need to escalate the issue to someone more experienced.
Okay, so knowing your limits is important too.
It is.
You don't want to make things worse by messing with something you don't fully understand.
Right.
What are the remaining steps?
Once you've identified the cause, you create a plan of action.
Oh,
This could be anything from replacing a faulty hard drive to updating drivers or configuring settings.
got it.
Then you implement the solution.
Finally, the fixing part.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not over yet, right?
Nope. Step 5 is verifying full system functionality. You want to make sure the problem is completely gone
Right.
and that your solution didn't create any new issues.
Got it.
Test everything thoroughly.
So it's not just about fixing the immediate problem.
Yeah.
It's about making sure the entire system is healthy and running smoothly.
Exactly.
What's the final step?
Documentation.
Right.
Write down what the problem was,
Yeah.
what steps you took to diagnose and solve it,
Uh-huh.
and an outcome.
Okay.
This helps you or someone else if the problem pops up again, and it's good practice for IT pros.
Okay, so even after you fix the computer, you're not off the hook.
No.
Documentation is like writing the case file for future reference.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, let's dive into some common troubleshooting scenarios the exam covers.
Right.
We'll start with motherboards, RAM, CPUs, and power issues.
Okay.
These can be tricky because they often involve the core components of the system.
Okay, brace yourselves, listeners. This is where things get really technical.
Yeah.
I'm ready to learn how to crack the code of these computer mysteries.
All right. Common symptoms for these problems can range from POS beeps.
Okay.
Those are the beeps the computer makes during startup that signal a problem, to crash screens, black screens, or no power at all.
POST beeps. Those are the ones that make my blood run cold.
Right.
Is there a secret decoder ring for those beeps, or does each motherboard speak its own language?
There are general patterns, but each BIOS manufacturer might have slightly different codes.
Right.
The key is to listen carefully,
Okay.
consult the motherboard documentation, and use your knowledge of hardware components to narrow down the possibilities.
So it's like listening to the computer's heartbeat and trying to diagnose the problem based on the rhythm.
You could say that.
What other clues might we encounter?
You might also see sluggish performance,
Okay.
overheating, burning smells, never a good sign,
Yeah.
intermittent shutdowns, application crashes,
Right.
or even physical signs like capacitor swelling on the motherboard.
Capacitor swelling. That sounds serious.
It can be.
Is that something you can actually see with the naked eye?
You can.
Okay.
Capacitors are those little cylindrical components on the motherboard,
Uh-huh.
and if they're bulging or leaking, it's a sign of trouble.
Okay, so it's not just about listening to the computer, but also looking for visual clues.
Right.
It's like being a tech detective.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, let's move on to troubleshooting storage drives and RAID arrays.
Whoa.
These are critical because they hold all our precious data.
Storage drives.
Right.
That's where I keep all my photos, music, and important documents.
Right.
Any problems there, and I'd be freaking out.
I understand.
What should we be looking out for?
Keep an ear out for grinding or clicking noises coming from the drive. That's never a good sign.
Okay.
You might also see error messages during startup,
Yeah.
like bootable device not found,
Right.
which means the computer can't find the operating system.
Okay, that one would definitely send me into panic mode.
Yeah.
What else should we be aware of?
Data loss or corruption is a major red flag.
Oh no, that's my worst nightmare.
I know.
What causes data loss? And is there any way to recover it?
Data loss can be caused by various factors, including physical damage to the drive, power surges, malware, or even accidental deletion.
Oh, wow.
Data recovery is possible in some cases, but it can be a complex and expensive process.
Right.
That's why having backups is so important.
Backups, backups, backups.
Zach.
Can't stress that enough, folks.
Right.
It's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to your precious data.
Agreed.
What about RAID arrays?
Yeah.
How do those factor into troubleshooting?
RAID arrays introduce their own set of challenges.
All right.
You might encounter RAID array failures,
Right.
where one or more drives in the array stop working,
Yeah.
potentially leading to data loss. It's crucial to understand the different RAID levels and their failure modes to effectively diagnose and resolve these issues.
So RAID can be a lifesaver in some cases by providing redundancy. But it also adds another layer of complexity to troubleshooting.
It does.
What's next on our troubleshooting adventure?
Let's shift our focus to video, projector, and display issues.
Okay.
After all, we need to be able to see what we're doing.
Display issues. Those could be super frustrating. I remember once when my monitor suddenly went black in the middle of a presentation.
Oh, no.
Not a fun experience.
No.
What are some common culprits in this area?
One of the first things to check is the data source.
Okay.
Make sure the correct input is selected on the monitor or projector.
Right.
Then check the cabling.
Right.
Loose or damaged cables can cause all sorts of problems, from fuzzy images to no signal at all.
Okay, so sometimes the solution is as simple as jiggling a cable or making sure it's plugged into the right port.
It can be.
But what if it's more serious than that?
Yeah.
What other problems might we encounter?
You might see issues like display burn-in, which is a permanent discoloration on the screen caused by prolonged display of a static image. Dead pixels, which are tiny dots that no longer light up.
Right.
Or flickering screens,
Yeah.
which can be caused by a faulty backlight or a loose connection.
Display burn-in. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
It's like a ghost image that's permanently etched onto the screen.
Right.
How do you even fix that?
Unfortunately, burn-in is usually permanent damage.
Oh, no.
Prevention is key, like avoiding displaying static images for extended periods or using screensavers.
Good to know. It's like a digital sunburn for your monitor.
It is.
What about projectors?
Yeah,
Those seem to have their own set of quirks.
they do.
Right.
Projectors can be finicky.
Yeah.
Common issues include burned out bulbs, dim images, overheating, and fan noise. You might also encounter problems with focusing, keystone correction, which adjusts the image to compensate for angled projection, and connectivity issues.
So troubleshooting projectors involves a combination of technical know-how,
Yeah.
a keen eye for detail,
Right.
and maybe even a bit of patience.
A lot of patience sometimes.
What's next on our troubleshooting checklist?
Let's not forget about mobile devices,
Okay.
which have become an extension of ourselves these days.
Right.
Troubleshooting them effectively is a must-have skill for any IT professional.
Mobile devices.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that tend to take a tumble down the stairs or end up swimming in the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of problems might we see in this area?
Everything from cracked screens and broken charging ports to battery issues, software glitches, and connectivity problems.
Right.
Liquid damage is also a common culprit,
Yeah.
especially for phones.
Liquid damage. That's a tough one.
It is.
I've heard putting your phone in rice can sometimes help,
Yeah.
but is there any real fix for that?
Rice can sometimes absorb moisture,
Okay.
but it's not a guaranteed solution.
Right.
Liquid damage can corrode internal components, and the best course of action is to have the device professionally assessed and repaired.
Okay, so sometimes you have to admit defeat and call in the experts.
Yeah, sometimes.
What other mobile device troubles might we encounter?
You might see issues with touch screens, digitizers, microphones, speakers, cameras,
Yeah.
or even software-related problems like app crashes, slow performance, or malware infections.
Malware infections on a phone.
Yeah,
That's a scary thought.
it is.
I guess our phones are just as vulnerable as our computers these days.
They are.
Right.
And as we become increasingly reliant on mobile devices for everything from communication to banking, protecting them from malware is crucial.
Okay, I'm definitely going to be more careful about what I click on and download on my phone from now on.
Good idea.
What's the last stop on our troubleshooting tour?
The final frontier is wired and wireless networks.
Okay.
These can be complex to troubleshoot because they involve multiple devices, cables, connections, and configurations.
Networks.
Yeah.
That's where I usually throw my hands up in defeat and call for backup.
I understand.
It's like there's a whole invisible world operating behind the scenes.
Right.
What are some common signs of network trouble?
You might experience slow internet speeds,
Okay.
intermittent connectivity, dropped connections, or an inability to connect to the network at all.
Okay, those are all pretty common problems that even non-techie people have experienced at some point.
Yeah, they are.
What are some things we can check to troubleshoot these issues?
First, make sure the physical cables are connected securely and that the wireless router is powered on and functioning properly.
Right.
Then, check the network settings on the computer or mobile device to ensure it's configured correctly to connect to the network.
So sometimes the solution is as simple as making sure everything's plugged in and turned on.
It can be.
What if it's more complicated than that?
Right.
What other tools or techniques might we use?
You can use commands like ping and traceroute
Okay.
to test connectivity and identify any bottlenecks or points of failure in the network. You might also need to check the router's configuration settings, update firmware,
Yeah?
or even reset the router to factory defaults if all else fails.
Okay, I'm starting to see how troubleshooting networks involves a combination of technical knowledge,
Yeah,
problem-solving skills,
right.
and maybe even a bit of trial and error.
Sometimes.
It's like solving a digital puzzle.
It is.
Oh.
And with the increasing complexity of networks these days, having a solid understanding of networking fundamentals is essential for any A-plus certified technician.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this troubleshooting section.
We have.
From motherboards to mobile devices and everything in between, it seems like there's no shortage of potential problems to solve in the IT world.
That's for sure.
What's next on our A-plus agenda?
We've explored the 5 key domains of the CompTIA A+ 1101 exam,
Okay.
delving into the technical details and real-world applications of each topic.
Right.
But before we wrap up our deep dive,
Yeah.
let's take a look at some valuable resources and prep tips that can help you succeed on your A+ journey.
Resources and prep tips. I'm all ears.
Okay?
Any advice you can share is greatly appreciated, especially after this whirlwind tour of IT knowledge.
Absolutely. The CompTIA A+ exam objectives document includes some helpful resources
Okay.
you should definitely take advantage of.
Yeah.
First up is the acronyms list, which is like a cheat sheet for deciphering the language of IT.
An acronyms list, thank goodness.
Right.
After all those TCPs, UDPs, RAID levels, and DDR generations, I'm feeling like I need a dictionary just to keep up.
Yeah, it's a lot.
What kind of acronyms does it cover?
It covers a vast range of acronyms related to hardware, software, networking, security,
Okay,
and everything in between.
got it.
You'll find definitions for everything from AAA, authentication, authorization, and accounting, to VPN, virtual private network.
Okay, so it's like a glossary of all the tech jargon you might encounter on the exam and in the real world of IT.
Exactly.
What other resources are available?
The document also includes a proposed hardware and software list,
Okay.
which gives you examples of the types of equipment and applications you might be working with as an IT professional.
Interesting. Is it like a shopping list for building your own IT lab?
It could be. It includes everything from different types of computers, servers, and networking devices to various operating systems, virtualization software, and troubleshooting tools.
That's an impressive list.
It is.
It's like a blueprint for creating a hands-on learning environment where you can practice your skills and experiment with different technologies.
Exactly.
Okay.
And speaking of practice,
Yeah.
that's one of the most important prep tips I can offer.
Okay.
The more you practice, the more confident you'll become in your knowledge and abilities.
Practice makes perfect, as they say.
It does.
But how can someone actually practice for the CompTIA Plus exam? Are there any resources available to help simulate the real testing environment?
There are plenty of practice exams and study guides available online and in bookstores.
Okay.
Look for resources from reputable sources like CompTIA itself or well-known IT training providers.
Right.
These practice exams can help you identify your weak areas and get used to the format and style of the questions you'll encounter on the actual exam.
That's a great tip. Taking practice exams is like doing a dress rehearsal for the main event.
It is.
It helps you get comfortable with the process and identify any areas where you need to brush up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another important prep tip is to make sure you're using authorized study materials.
Right.
Avoid brain dumps or other unauthorized sources that claim to offer exam answers.
Right.
These are not only unethical, but can also get you banned from taking CompTIA exams.
Brain dumps. Those sound a bit shady.
There.
I'd rather earn my certification honestly and demonstrate true competence in the subject matter.
I agree.
What other advice do you have for someone preparing for the CompTIA A+ exam?
Don't underestimate the importance of hands-on experience.
Right.
The CompTIA A+ certification is all about practical skills.
Right.
So the more you can get your hands dirty with actual hardware and software, the better prepared you'll be.
Got it.
Set up your own home lab, build a computer,
Yeah.
or volunteer to help friends and family with their tech issues.
Right.
The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
That's fantastic advice. Turn your learning into a fun and engaging experience by getting hands-on and exploring.
Exactly.
It's like turning your home into a tech playground.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
the CompTIA A+ exam isn't just a hurdle to overcome.
Right.
It's an opportunity to learn valuable skills that can launch your IT career.
Well, I'm definitely feeling inspired to take the plunge and pursue my CompTIA A+ certification.
Good.
It's clear that it's a valuable investment in my future.
It is.
What are your final thoughts on the A+ certification and its relevance in today's job market?
Well, it's about credibility.
Okay.
Imagine you're an employer.
Yeah.
You see 2 resumes.
Okay.
One says, I'm good with computers.
Right.
The other has the A+ cert.
Yeah.
Who are you more likely to trust with your company's tech?
Yeah, the cert's like proof you didn't just Google a few things.
Right.
You actually studied and know your stuff.
Exactly.
It's a way to stand out.
Yeah.
Especially for folks new to IT.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it opens doors to a variety of entry-level IT roles.
Okay, like what?
Help desk, desktop support,
Right.
even field service tech where you're out fixing things on site.
Okay.
It's a versatile foundation.
So it's not limiting you to just one job.
No.
It's more like a launch pad for a whole IT career.
Exactly.
What I find really interesting is
Yeah.
this could even spark a passion for a specific part of IT.
That happens a lot. Someone starts with the A+,
Yeah.
then realizes they love networking or they get fascinated by cybersecurity.
Right.
The cert exposes you to all these areas, helping you find your niche.
It's like a sampler platter of IT skills.
Right.
You get a taste of everything.
Yeah,
Then you specialize later.
exactly.
And with technology changing so fast, that ability to adapt is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Continuous learning is crucial in IT.
Yes.
The A+ is just the beginning.
Yeah.
It equips you with the foundational knowledge to keep growing and stay relevant in this ever-evolving field.
Well, I'm feeling pretty pumped about the A+ after this deep dive.
Good.
It's definitely more than just a piece of paper.
It is.
It's a pathway to a whole world of possibilities in IT.
And it's a challenging but rewarding journey.
Yeah.
The sense of accomplishment you feel when you pass those exams and earn that certification is incredible.
I bet.
It's proof that you've invested in yourself and your future.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are ready to embark on their own CompTIA A+ adventures?
Embrace the challenge.
Okay.
Get hands-on experience, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
The IT community is incredibly supportive.
Okay.
There are forums, online groups, and study resources galore.
Got it.
You don't have to go it alone.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
Learning is a collaborative process.
Right.
And there's a whole community out there to support you along the way.
And remember,
Yeah.
the most important thing is to never stop learning.
Right.
Technology never stands still. So embrace your curiosity and stay hungry for knowledge.
Okay.
That's the key to thriving in the exciting world of IT.
Beautifully said. A huge thank you to our expert for breaking down the CompTIA A+ and sharing such valuable insights and advice.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, we hope this deep dive has demystified the A+ certification and inspired you to take the next step in your IT journey.
Good luck.
Good luck out there, and keep on learning.